I'm Brittany.
And I'm Heather.
Welcome to Okayest Moms, the podcast.
A place to be more than just mom.
Hey everyone, we're back with another episode. Our guest today is Jamie Kolnick. She is the CEO of Jam with Jamie, which is a nationwide party, like mommy and me music classes. They're all over the country. So we talked with her about what it is like to be a business owner and a mother and how to foster a love of music in your children.
We also talk about how she runs a nonprofit called Reach for the Stars Foundation and a little bit about her life and how that came about. And I just think you're really going to love this episode. And here's the episode after this quick break. Hi, Jamie. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your area of expertise?
Sure. So I am the founder and CEO of Jam with Jamie, which is a nationwide children's music company. I'm currently in Miami, which is where I grew up. And I spent a good 14 years in New York. So that was my other home for a good while. I had my first two kiddos there. And then went through the pandemic there and was like, bye, went back to Miami. I'm like, that seems like a good choice. I'll move with the rest of the Northeast down to Miami. And I gave birth to my third child, Zoe, here. So been hanging out here since, just moved into a house here, very exciting stuff. And running my business, writing, running my charity here, momming 24/7 in between it all, and making it work, kind of. Just kind of.
So tell us a little bit about what Jam with Jamie is and how the whole thing came to be.
Sure. So we do kids' music parties, classes, events. Started it while I was in New York 14 years ago. I was the main teacher musician on our team, and I would hop around with a guitar in my bag, a bag of props with parachute shakers, scarves, animal puppets, and would sing interactive children's songs with babies up to about 5 years old and their grown-ups. And I do classes, parties, would travel from, New York City to all the boroughs, and did that for a good while before I started expanding, growing my team. So now we have 90 performers on the team and we're in 10 cities. And I don't perform at parties and classes anymore. I am like the vision of the company. I lead the growth strategy, and I, work together with the team members, the performers, the back end to make us the best that we can be. So that's kind of where I've fallen on top of all my mom duties and other hats that I wear. Turns out the mom duties took over a lot of time, which is why I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh, I'm just going to have some kids. I'll keep doing my business. I had to learn the hard way that I needed to start delegating and not do everything myself. So while I still wear a lot of hats, I have become really great at finding other people that are really good at doing things too, and realizing that I don't have to do it all. So it took me a long time to figure that out, but I figured it out, and very, very proud and excited of where we are right now with the company and where we're going.
That's very cool. So you've obviously been musical your whole life. Why is music beneficial for children?
Music is everything. Music is, I say it's a language because I really think it's the way to communicate with children in a way that our normal English language doesn't always work. When we bring in music into our home, into our classes, it feels like we're just connecting on a completely other level. Even with my kids, I feel like when I need to break the tension or to change the tune, literally the tune in my house from catastrophic to harmony, I will put on a song. I don't know if you do the same, but when I put on their favorite song in the car, in our house, when things are just going nuts, and I change I change our direction through music, then I am able to communicate with them. And this is what we do in our classes as well. We see the growth from the first day of class to the end of class, where all of a sudden there's like a little baby drumming, singing along with the song, humming. And it's so amazing to see. This is one of our first ways of communicating with our children. And it's a tool that I use as a mother constantly throughout our day.
So I'm assuming that your favorite songs are like also your kids' favorite songs. Like there's some crossover there because my kids will listen to Storybots on repeat. My daughter's current favorite thing is video game music, like instrumental video game music. And she wanted to listen to that. We were just on a road trip, just her and I recently, and I let her choose. And that's what she put on. I thought I was going to fall asleep and drive off the road. So like
Video game
you like
music.
bridge, it's, I feel like it's worth mentioning she's autistic. So like there is some like, there's a thread there. But also like the things they want to listen to make me want to scream even more.
Yeah, I can't say that I share all of my favorite songs with my children. They're not super into Tom Petty just yet, but we'll get there. That's not the music that I use to break the tension in my house. It's usually like so funny. My daughter's favorite song right now is Mama Maria, which like no one really knows, but my nanny started singing it with her, and now whenever she's upset, I just turn it on and she starts singing and dancing. It's like Mama Ma, Mama Maria, Mama Mama. Do you know this? No, of course you
It
don't.
sounds kind of familiar.
Oh, Sunroof. So I was like, okay, I can't listen to Coco Melon, PJ Masks like theme songs anymore. I'm going to start playing Kids Bop. It's like a happy medium in between songs I like and songs the kids like. So we like Kids Bop a lot. We're listening to, I think it's like the 2022 Kids Bop with like Sunroof and all the fun pop songs. So that's one thing that we share right now. Those songs for sure.
All right, I'll have to give that a try because if I have to listen to like another Imagine Dragons song, I might explode.
But that's also not a bad choice.
It's not
That's
bad,
kind
but
of
when you've
okay.
heard it 4,000 times in the last like week, it's not great. We actually recently not recently, but through, they've had their own Alexas in their room. And so we've said that like if you need to go listen to that in your room. So like that's a thing they'll go do now. And it's been a really good like calming sensory activity is like I'm gonna go listen to music in my room. It's like great. I love that for you. Please take the Kid Icarus soundtrack
Yep.
over there.
For us.
Okay, so I am kind of famous for not liking music, and I know that probably like is a hard thing for you to hear. I feel like growing up I was always criticized for liking what I liked, and then it was never the cool thing to it wasn't I feel like there's a lot of gatekeeping with music and like when I was in high school it was a really cool thing to go to shows and like see all these bands before they were cool. And it was just like there's so much pressure I always felt pressure to like the right stuff and the stuff I liked was never the right stuff. So I just decided I don't care about music then. So how can you help foster a love of music if you don't particularly like music yourself? Maybe you never played an instrument growing up, you don't have a musical bone in your body. How can you help foster a love in a kid who may have that in them?
First of all, no judgment there. Like I feel like it sounds like there was some like societal pressures and it's almost like you wanted to go against the norm. You're like, everybody else is doing that. I'm just going to stay in my lane and stay with what I like and not feel like this pressure to be this groupie, and expose yourself to everything and just see what feels good. I mean, that's how I would approach music in general, not necessarily what's like mainstream or what everybody else is listening to and likes. See what sort of feeling you get from listening to all types of music. We have so many resources now with music, with streaming music. I mean, it used to be, I remember in the iPod days, where a buddy of mine used to work at a record store. He was like super musical, and I kind of had a crush on him. And he was like the super music, like chill dude. And I think I was trying a little too hard with him. I just wanted him to like me. So I pretended to be into everything that he was into. And he ended up transferring all of his music onto my iPod. And I go off and listen to it. And I actually don't really like most of this music that he put on my iPod, but I just wanted to impress him. But he ended up like putting so much on my iPod. I had a chance to like listen to everything. And now we can listen to whatever we want, It's all there at our fingertips at the time. That was it. That's what I listened to for like the next 6 years. So I started to like it because it was on my iPod. So that's all I had. I would just say expose yourself to all different types of music. And I love live music. I mean, get to as much live music as you can, even if it's instrumental, being able to like lay out on a blanket and listen to music, I feel like has always had this impact on me, just like chill music. And this has nothing to do with kids' music, but just like how music sings to me and how it might jive with someone who says they don't like music. Perhaps just by being open to the experience and just seeing what makes you feel good.
I love that. In a time where it seems like in schools, the first thing to get slashed is the arts and music from schools for budgetary reasons. And I know you focus mainly on music education for younger kids, but how can parents of older kids involved in music get them involved in music in a more casual way? Almost like trick them. I feel like that's what I have to do with my 11-year-old.
What are you trying to get your 11-year-old to do?
Well, he just very much does not. He says he doesn't like music, but what we've learned through just trying different songs and stuff, he just doesn't like. It's a lot for him to process to have words in music. So we've done a lot of just instrumental stuff, and he likes that. So like things like that. Like how can we stop that barrier to entry for older kids who are maybe resistant to music?
I think because it comes off as this like extra work to do, right? And it's not like fun. So again, I would approach it by listening and exposing to music that they like and really finding out what instrument it is with a professional, maybe at like School of Rock or a local spot that's more relaxed. That's not so like sit at the piano and, make sure you do your chords. I feel like at one point, learning music was very strict. And in some cases, it still can be that way. And that's just the nature of some instruments. I feel like strings and keys can sometimes feel that way. But there's those gems of teachers and humans that can expose your children, young or older, to music in a more casual way. And I would say run for the hills if you're in an environment, in a teaching environment that does not feel like it works with you and your family. With some families, that strict nature does work and the kid needs that. And that the parent makes the choice that this is the right thing for me and for my child, and this makes sense. But as soon as it doesn't feel right, I mean, I am, for one, somebody who I actually think that at least one of my kids that I'm thinking about would really need that structure. And he would thrive with that kind of structure, whereas another would be able to be a little bit more loosey-goosey with it.
Do your kids play any instruments?
They don't. No, not yet. I have a 2, 5, and 7-year-old. And every time my 7-year-old picks up a guitar, he still has it flipped around, even though I keep telling him it goes the other way. Your hands go here. It's like, I'm not sure what exactly
That's how I play.
is happening. Yeah. Whatever. It makes sound, right? So yeah, but I really want him to play guitar, and he sings. He's in the choir at school, and that's an instrument too.
Mm-hmm.
And I love having him, and my 2 sons are in choir at school. And I love that they are having this experience with music, and it's Jewish music, which means a lot to me that they're being exposed to Jewish music and loving it. It's fun. They're just looking at it as fun. And I think as soon as it becomes something that's not fun, and maybe, playing an instrument for some kids, it's not fun. I don't know. For some, pushing it is the right choice. And for some, as soon as they don't like it, listening to the child is the right choice. And sometimes later on, they're like, Mom, thank you so much for forcing me to play piano. Like that allowed me to understand music theory. And now I'm a musician, or it just helped me in other things. I feel like it's like a parent guided thing where it's really hard to have an answer there because it just depends on the family.
So I feel like your oldest is kind of right at that age where they might start wanting to play something. Like, how would you help a child figure out what instrument they liked? Because when I hear instrument, like I just think like an expensive like cost of entry. And if they don't want to play like the clarinet for the next like 10 years, like, how do you expose them to different types of instruments and like figure out what their thing is without collecting like a six-piece band?
Yeah. Oh no, we don't want that. I would say just by exposing them to the instruments and in a teaching environment. I do believe it's very sad that music is one of the things and arts is one of the things to go in schools because it's instrumental, literally, in creating our children and their growth. I believe it's so important, whether or not I am biased and in this industry, having that creative outlet for children is so important. And if they're not going to get it at school where I think they should be getting it, then families need to find it elsewhere, which is what we're talking about. And so it's if it's not at school, different instruments just to go and play and try in a music class, then I would say find a local music center or even a Sam Ash or guitar center and or go and play with the guitars. There's even free classes at some guitar centers and some Sam Ashes on the weekends where you can expose your children to guitar lessons for free. So look into local places like that and see what they have available. And just getting your kid into an experience like that, you'll see if they like it or not. They might be super into it. It's like an intuitive experience, I believe, where you just have to follow your kid's lead. And sometimes it's going back to that experience a few times before they have the choice to be like, no, I don't like it. I think a few times is important.
Yeah, I think my oldest would really be into it. But it's kind of that thing where it's like, okay, I think you like it, but I don't really know what to do next. And growing up, I was exposed to music very early on. My grandpa taught me how to play piano and like play. Like I use that term very loosely. Like I could like read the scales and that's about it. But then in fourth grade, our school had a band and of course, all my friends wanted to do it. So I wanted to do it. But you got to leave class for a little bit and go to band practice every like Wednesday or whatever. And so I played the trumpet in fourth, fifth, and then in sixth grade in middle school. I had put band, I didn't really want to, but it was like the last elective I chose. And so if you put band anywhere on there, they immediately stuck you in band. So like my experience with it changed and I didn't love it towards the end and I stopped. But looking back, I do appreciate having that exposure to it because I wouldn't have gotten that otherwise.
Absolutely. And you figured out, I mean, it may have been a challenging experience, but I feel like there was some learning that happened in that experience, whether you liked it or didn't like it. Like
Totally.
that's an opinion that was formed, right? And
Yeah.
helped you figure out that you don't want to do it anymore.
I mean, the 90-year-old cranky band director also had something to do with it, but
For sure.
it's life lesson.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that can make the experience really hard. And I would say if there was like a little bit in you that liked the trumpet or liked music and wanted to try another instrument, then finding another teacher. Like if a grown up now sees their child in that situation, I would hope that they would put them in a place where their musicality was, you know, comforted a little bit more than in that class environment with a bad teacher.
Totally. And for the record, I didn't want to play the trumpet. It was just my grandma had my uncle's old trumpet like in the closet shoved somewhere. And my mom was like, I'm not buying a clarinet or renting one. So if you want to play something, you're playing the trumpet. And I was very disgruntled and I didn't want to play that. But you know what? I sucked it up and that was my instrument.
That's amazing. That made sense.
Okay, shifting gears a little bit. What have you learned about motherhood from running your own business?
Oh, well, it's not easy. It's never going to go the way that you think it will. And those are definitely my two key takeaways, that where my business life and my motherhood life have mirrored each other. Before having kids, I had no idea what to expect. And I feel like I had this one idea of what it was supposed to be. And then once I was in it, there was like a million question marks all the time. And I didn't know which was left, which was right, what was straight ahead. And I'm someone who likes to like Google and ask people too many opinions. And like, I realized that no matter how much I I asked other people what they thought about something, at the end of the day, it was just how I felt and what I needed to do. And that's very much how my business, I feel like, prepared me for that. I've had so many twists and turns with my company, sometimes just wanting to throw in the towel completely. And I can't say that I haven't had the same feelings with motherhood. It's a little harder to leave it behind, though. You can't just sell the kids like you could at a company.
Right.
Although I thought about it, and I definitely threatened to bring them back to the
I
children's store where
literally
I brought
threatened that
them.
yesterday.
And they're like, no, don't take me back to the children's store. Okay, now I'm going to be retorted. Definitely rolling with the punches of having a startup company and growing the company and dealing with the things that came my way with that growth has prepared me in many ways for motherhood. I mean, while it's extremely different, it also has its similarities.
Both are a wild ride. So you mentioned you also run a nonprofit, Reach for the Stars Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about its mission?
Absolutely. My parents started Reach for the Stars after my brother Alan passed away in a car accident in 1998. And they created it to honor Alan and continue his legacy through graduating students from seniors in high school, and had all of these students applying by submitting an essay about a struggle that they had overcome. And through these challenges, finding themselves on the other side, persevering and really figuring out what the positive lens is on life, even when life hands you negative circumstances. So since the inception of the scholarship, my parents have both passed away from cancer. So my brother Mike and I continue the scholarship in all of their honor, and going on our, oh goodness, I guess 23rd, 24th year with the scholarship. And we've awarded over almost 300 scholarships since the beginning. And it's a huge part of, keeping my family's legacy alive, and something I love to give back and I love to do. Not just to honor them, but just to be able to support these deserving students in the next chapter of their lives, and to do something with my brother, Mike, who lives in Miami. A reason I wanted to move back here is because he's here with his two girls, and our kids can grow up together, which is really nice. We get to do this together. We are, it kind of sparks conversation about our family that maybe we wouldn't have had otherwise. And it's just a super rewarding experience.
That's
I
so
love
cool.
that.
Is it students nationally or just in Florida?
Just in South Florida.
Okay, very cool. So you wear so many different hats. Do you have any tips and tricks to keep all your plates spinning?
Don't throw in the towel. You can do it. We're all going to have our hard days. It's like life is not easy. It throws us so many curveballs. And there are some days where we just want to like give up and say, F it, I'm done. No more. I can't. I'm tired. Whether it be with parenting and just having had it, whether it be with our businesses and having had it. And at the end of the day, like, do what makes you really happy. And for our kids, it's like just important to take that breath and step aside. And if I'm not able to be the parent I want to be in that moment, move out of the room. Leave, take a breath, take my own time out, and then come back when I feel like I'm ready. I feel like me and my husband are constantly like tagging out and, sharing where we are in that moment and if we're there. I read something recently that was saying to talk to your partner about where you are percentage wise. So if you're not at 100%, you say, okay, right now I have 10%. Can you pick up like the other 90 right now? And then tag out, and then you and your partner are on the right page and you're able to show up for your kids in the right way. So we've been doing a lot of that recently and it's been helping me.
I recently saw that too. I think it's Brene Brown, and we've
Is it?
been
Okay.
doing that too. It's hard to remember in the moment when you're both at like 10%, but we've been trying to do that
Right.
around here
We
too.
have said that too. If it's like 10-10, then I'm like, okay, great.
Oh,
Let's just both step out.
Yeah. On Sunday around like 3:30 is where we both hit 10% because we've both been like with the kids nonstop, and which always makes me grumpy because I'm with the kids more and my husband, has just been with them since Friday night. So it's like, why don't you just slow your roll? But like that's neither here nor there. And so yeah, this past Sunday was like, if I see one of these children, I'm gonna snap. And we were both kind of in that spot. And it was like, okay, they're going to bed early. We will not be speaking to them. So yeah,
I hear you. Overstand.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Jamie. Can you tell our audience where to find you? Because they need to be following you on social media. Your approach to motherhood on social media is it's hilarious to start, but it also, I feel like it brings like such a levity to it without diminishing how hard it is, if that makes sense. And you do that so well.
Thank you so much. I have a lot of fun with our Instagram. That's like my outlet for creating funny things, which I've been doing my whole life. Before Jam with Jamie, I would like write funny sketches, pretending to be an SNL writer with my friends. So this is, Instagram's so cool because you can just create something and share it. Whereas all the things that I created when I was younger, they just stayed in the vault, as where they probably should stay in the vault. But that all groomed me for the creator I am now. And that's definitely, while social media has its thorns, that's definitely a rose that it's been so fun for me. So thanks for saying that. Yep, you can find me at Jam with Jamie. At Jamie Kolnick is my personal page where I don't share as often because I don't have the brain space for it. Who can run 2 Instagram pages? It's not a thing.
No.
And if it is, someone's running the other one, which I do have help. Show Up Authentic. Shout out to them. They're fantastic and help me with my Jam with Jamie Instagram. I shoot it back to them. They help me put it together. And that's what I mean about delegation. Find the people that are good at what they're good at and work with them. It has made me such a better human. And I also want to give out a little shout out to our upcoming music festival, March 3rd, 2024. We are producing a music festival at Jungle Island in Miami. And I can announce now that Lori Berkner will be headlining at the festival, which I am super excited about. And we'll have more announcements soon about another artist coming on. Jam with Jamie will be performing throughout the day and other local artists. And it's just going to be a celebration of life, love, music, local businesses, and food and sounds and fun. So next March 3rd, 2024, stay tuned to more information about that. The Little Jam Fest.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
If you like what you just heard, and we hope you do, you can find more of us online at www.okayestmoms.com. We're also on all social media platforms, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Okayest Moms Blog. Or if you want to, you can send us an email at hey@okayestmoms.com.